So can you explain, like, my understanding is in Home Assistant, you're right, like you have to go from the start to the end, right? You start with a trigger. What are the conditions for that trigger to fire, for that trigger to be true? And then here's the action that I want to be performed if all those conditions are met. You mentioned in Home Pro, you can start like from the middle. Can you give an example on how that would be different? Like something you could do in Home Pro that you wouldn't do in Home Assistant or that linear fashion?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, for example, I might just like start with like, okay, here's all the devices I want in this rule, and I'll just drop those. They're cards. Everything's in cards, right? So I just drop all those cards on the sheet, right? So I know these are the devices I want, and yeah, I might know the trigger I want, and then it's like I can just drop everything that I can see, and then I can just start connecting the lines versus having to think. This is first. This is first. This is next. Second, third, fourth, etc. Right? I can just get it all on there, and I can just move it around to where it needs to be. And sometimes it'll open up different ideas for how to do the rule better. Versus, I feel like by seeing it, you're right. I can get different ideas that might make what I thought was going to be good into a different thing that'll work better. Versus, I feel like Home Assistant, Habitat, they don't have that same ability to like really inspire me, if you will. I have to know what I'm going to do going in. I don't get new ideas as I'm building it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I'm guessing, yeah, you're putting it all on the table and go, okay, what am I going to build with these ingredients? Okay, yes, I want to do that, and then, oh, actually, I can do actually flow this way and do that as well.
It's funny because I in Node-RED, it's again, to your point, it's kind of similar in the way you connect the nodes, right? And do all that stuff up. But I actually found, for me at least, that that was too unstructured, where I'm like, okay, let me do this. Whereas it's like the Home Assistant structure, I'm like, for me, that's just how my brain works, right? It's like, okay, what am I trying to do? What happens if, like, what is the trigger? What is the condition? What is the action? Right? So it's like, to me, and I think when I build automations, my brain just naturally thinks like that, and rather than having it more structured, but or rather more having it more unstructured, rather, right? But I totally see what you mean about, having, you kind of throw it all on the palette and just say, okay, if I do this way, I can do something cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I can kind of compare it to in the video. So I did one video where I did the exact same rule in Habitat, Homey Pro, and in Home Assistant, right? The same
yeah,
devices, same rule, everything, just to kind of show here's the different processes for doing it. And in the end, I compared it to, I said, like Habitat and especially Home Assistant was like trying to solve a complicated math problem. It just like you could do it. It just wasn't. I've never found
right.
math fun. Some people love math, right? So that's great. Whereas Homey Pro was more like solving an interesting puzzle to me, which not like the puzzle pieces, but like any kind of logic puzzles and
Mhm.
escape room type things. Like I enjoy that sort of thing, trying to logic something out. But if it's math, it's like forget about it. So that's kind of the feeling that I got with those different systems.
That's fair. So, I mean, on that kind of topic of what you're doing at home, so you primarily use the Homey Pro Hub for your automations. Is
Yeah,
that a
for the
fair
most part,
statement?
I've switched. It was used to be mostly Habitat when I worked there, and even after I did. But then I discovered Homey, and it's just more fun to use. Like I said, I just appreciate using it a lot more. It's gotten a lot better. It still is not as compatible as some of the devices I have in Habitat aren't compatible with Homey Pro. So I still have some things running on
Right.
Habitat, and it's still a solid system. I do have one or two things running on the Home Assistant Green just so I can keep up with what's going on
Yeah.
in Home Assistant.
Why not?
So it's good. And Home Assistant, like I will give Home Assistant a lot of credit. Number one, they're very compatible, right? You can get a lot
Mhm.
more things in Home Assistant than you can in these other systems. Number two, you do have a very passionate community, which is good. And I don't know where all these people have all this. Just it's like programmers that we had this talked about in my show. They program
Yeah.
during their day job, and then they come home and do free programming for for Home Assistant
Yep, yep.
when they get home. So yeah, you get a lot of people volunteering and helping out and building that
Yeah.
product and making it a lot better, which is awesome, and you need that. That's great. There's some of that in Habitat has it, Homey Pro has that, but not to the extent that Home
Yeah.
Assistant does. So yeah, that's very cool, and I do appreciate that they're making inroads into making it more easier to use, and the fact that they have a box, is great. That somebody can just
Yeah.
plug in and go. That's the direction they need to take, and it's great.
Yeah. Totally agreed.